and will evaluate next steps through a lens of sensitivity to those impacted by this tragedy. So, does that not sound like something that you could have done before publishing the ads? Hi, welcome back to me talking about whatever I want. Today I want to talk about the absolute worst ad campaign you are going to see this week. Set your expectations very low and then prepare to have them still not met. But first, of course, I want to do a comment shout out from my last video. So this comment from yesterday's video by Flutter G says, I feel like it's the 12 days of Christmas, but with D'Angelo, and hopefully it's going to be more than 12 days. And I'm living for it. Let me tell you something. With as much fun as I'm having doing these daily uploads, and with as many views as you guys are giving them, because for some reason they're getting a lot of views, so thank you for that, it's going to be a lot more than 12 days. And thanks to the sheer insanity that is the year 2020, I don't think I'll be running out of topics. The last place I expected to find content for a video was Planters, the peanut company, but nevertheless, here we are. So it's common knowledge at this point that brands are annoying, especially on social media. We all remember Wendy's and the little Twitter clapbacks, and honestly, it's like funny at first, but after a certain point, there's like a thin line between good brands on social media and straight up cringe, and sadly we're going to be getting into the latter. Planters never really had that much of an impact on social media. Their mascot is Mr. Peanut, and basically he's just an anthropomorphic peanut that goes around, dresses really well, and advertises the Planters brand. Like, at least here where I live, I don't know about other places, but Mr. Peanut is synonymous with peanuts and has been for much longer than I've been alive. Well, slightly longer. Well, somebody at Planters had the genius idea to have Mr. Peanut pass away. So here we have it, folks, straight from Today magazine. Mr. Peanut, the dapper Planters icon, has passed away at age 104. So you might ask yourself, right, like, well, how did they write off this character? Did he just get too old? Maybe he got sick. Maybe he turned out to have a peanut allergy. He gets in a car accident.
No, you don't. Don't do it, Mr. P. No. Maybe he'll be all right. Maybe not.
This guy's face right here, that is how I felt watching this commercial, and not because I was sad for Mr. Peanut. It is with heavy hearts that we confirm Mr. Peanut has passed away at 104 years old. He will be remembered as the legume who always brought people together for nutty adventure. I can't get through this. So basically, the reason that they're doing something so social media worthy is because we have the Super Bowl coming up. That is the time of year where people put out their most expensive, most controversial ads because they're gonna have possibly the biggest audience that American television gets all year. So the commercial I just showed you clips from is going to run during the Super Bowl pregame show, and then allegedly they're supposed to be running a follow-up during the Super Bowl game itself. No American will have to cry alone. Planters' other Super Bowl commercial will allow viewers to mourn Mr. Peanut during his funeral. What is wrong with these people? So Mr. Peanut changed their social media to be called The Estate of Mr. Peanut, and I think their last tweet on the matter was this one right here that says, "In the ultimate selfless act, he sacrificed himself to save his friends when they needed him most. Please pay your respects with hashtag rest in peanut." So for obvious reasons, this went viral, getting over 138,000 likes and 30,000 retweets. Obviously, it's good marketing, so I can't, well, no, I can't knock them for that. So if this wasn't like cringy enough, obviously, brand Twitter used this as the perfect opportunity to jump in. I see Lipton tea, Snickers, what? Why? Papa John's, Nestle. Like, listen to some of these tweets. Bud Light says, as a brand who has also lost their mascot, our most heartfelt condolences in this trying time. You know what is striking me as weird? This is basically making a mockery of what happens when someone really does pass away. Lipton Tea says, someone needs to spill the tea. We want to know what really happened. Hashtag rest in peanut. Snickers says, we too would sacrifice it all for the nut. Why do I have a Twitter account? This is within my control. I am doing this to myself, but if I had to see these, so did you. Dr. Pepper says, goodbye, Mr. Peanut. Very few people understand how delicious our relationship has been. And here we have a picture of someone pouring Dr. Pepper and Planters peanuts into the same cup. I'm pretty sure that that's a hate crime. Nestle Toll House says, peanut butter cookies will never be the same. GameStop joined in with this one right here. Okay, honestly, this one's not unfunny. They turned it into a Dark Souls reference. Papa John's Pizza says, RIG? rest in garlic sauce. That doesn't make sense. They are not even trying. It's like Planters came up with possibly the worst idea I've ever seen in an advertising campaign, and then all social media managers just went off. That's about all the brand tweets I can stomach reading, but just trust me when I say there were a lot more. However, I would like to read some of the responses from normal people. This person said, maybe if he stanned Luna. Okay, this is the only opportunity where it's appropriate to say this wouldn't have happened if he stanned Luna. This person said, I hate corporate brands utilizing social media. This person said, who in the H cares? I care about as much for Mr. Peanut dying as I do for Carter dying. Hashtag signs they are hiding something. Hashtag fake news. Hashtag. Okay, never mind. Maybe we'll not read that one. This person said, I must say, this is not a good look for a brand. Someone should have definitely had this run by a mental health professional. Extremely unwise and tone deaf. Hard to label this as cutesy as it would seem to intend. Now, this person right here predicted the future, not in a good way. They launched this ad campaign on January 22nd, and this person hopped in with their tweet on January 22nd. And that was kind of the end of it. Everyone was just waiting around for the Super Bowl commercial. Well, unfortunately, on January 26th, just a few days later, we were all shocked to learn the news that the basketball player Kobe Bryant had passed away in none other than a tragic helicopter accident. So obviously, I will say Planters had no way of knowing that they would be memeing someone passing away in a car accident, and then just days later the world would be shaken over the fact that multiple people had just passed away in a helicopter accident. But obviously this was just such an incredibly bad look for Planters that they had to address it. Planters pauses promotion of Mr. Peanut. Okay, that's like alliteration. Planters pauses promotion of Mr. Peanut's Super Bowl funeral after Kobe Bryant passes away. Why is this a real headline in 2020? That's the reason I'm making this video. This just seems stranger than fiction, and I feel like if I keep this information to myself, I'm just going to explode. Kraft's Planters brand apologized for distributing prayer candles for Mr. Peanut as part of its Super Bowl campaign about the mascot's demise, and said it would consider what's next after a helicopter crash claims Kobe Bryant. So yeah, all of a sudden, pretending that your mascot burned in a fire no longer seemed cute. The thing is, like, when did it ever? They didn't really apologize for what they did, but they did address how heinous it was, saying, we wanted you to know that we are saddened by this weekend's news, and Planters has paused all campaign activities, including paid media, and will evaluate next steps through a lens of sensitivity to those impacted by this tragedy. So, does that not sound like something that you could have done before publishing the ads? But, you know, props to them, they at least stopped the ad campaign. And I'm sure for most people that's good enough, or at least that's what Planters hoped. But for me, it's absolutely not. It's time to do some math. And by do some math, I mean, look at this article I found where someone else did the math for me. So according to Apex Marketing Group, they totaled together all of the clout that Planters was able to generate with their whole Mr. Peanut campaign. And they basically gained $13.7 million worth off of a $5.6 million ad. So because so many people were talking about it and sharing it, because so many people were like me and can't resist talking about this kind of stuff, they made so much money off of free publicity. So it's fine for them to apologize, even though their apology wasn't an apology. But that does not change the fact that they've made millions of dollars off of trying to turn a car accident into a meme. It's like, it brings to mind that saying, all publicity is good publicity. No, it is not. So that's pretty much the situation, but if that's not bad enough, here's where it just gets, in my opinion, inexcusable. Not like it was very easy to excuse in the first place. Asked whether Planters might not show its tragedy-themed ads on Sunday at all, the spokesman said, the brand hasn't made any changes to those plans. The pause right now affects only paid advertising on platforms like Twitter and YouTube, as well as some other outreach in the immediate wake of Mr. Bryant's passing. In other words, they didn't pause the ad campaign. They're still running the ads. It was just for sympathy points. The only thing they've done, according to them, is just stop tweeting about it. They're still gonna run the ads in which Mr. Peanut perishes in a car accident. They're still going to profit off of that. And here's the thing, I really did the mental gymnastics and I asked myself, maybe they just didn't think about it. Maybe they weren't trying to use tragedy to push their brand further. Well, why didn't you take it right from Mike Pierantazzi, I have no idea if I said that correctly. I'm really sorry. Group creative director at Planter's creative agency. We started talking about how the internet treats when someone passes away. Specifically, we were thinking about fictional characters, like when Iron Man did. When Iron Man passed away, we saw an incredible reaction on Twitter and on social media. It's such a strange phenomenon. In other words, it's exactly what it says in that first sentence. We started talking about how the internet treats when someone passes away. So there you go. No amount of lens of sensitivity is true. It's just right there in that statement. They're just really saying one thing and doing the other. And honestly, I think that's why people hate brands on Twitter. It's not that brands aren't allowed to do this. It's that they're masquerading as these relatable people, and they're masquerading as if they're just here to entertain. But unlike real people and real entertainers, the only thing these people have as their bottom line is money. And you know what? We went over the numbers ourselves, and Planters made a lot of money off of this, so ultimately, who cares?